Yo! Jake was supposed to give me something funny to open this with. Unfortunately, he was editing headshots yesterday, and so now you're just stuck with my beautiful face again. Just kidding.
That's what the people want.
That's what the people want. Right. Now, hanging out with Danielle, our chief marketing officer at SteelPoint, and somebody that helps me with a lot of our portfolio investment companies, which is really cool. You know, she's here this week in Pittsburgh, so we've got a couple filming sessions in, which is fantastic. We just got done having our pseudo town hall at the SteelPoint Capitol, and it's really cool because, a year ago at this time, it was mostly just an idea, give or take, January, February, March of last year. Here we are. We had, 13, 14, 15 people, something like that in the room. You've been with us now 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah, like 4 months.
About 4 months. Let's dive into that right away, right? What I want to get into really is conceptually how people think through big time life decisions, right? So someone random buying their first home to live in, right?
Yeah.
Or, someone such as yourself, which is a high achiever, right? Age aside, you're a younger entrepreneur in terms of experience. We won't talk age, just experience, because, let's be whatever that is kosher on the camera. But, you've accomplished a lot, and you believe you're just getting started in your career as far as where you want to go, the accomplishments you want. Mm-hmm. The life you set out to want to live with you and your family. How do you, take us into the framework and the mindset around making, I'd like to say that I recruited you and convinced you to come here, but the reality of it is you went through an entire process on your own because you really didn't know me when you decided to come here. You know me a little bit, but even if it's 6 hours of interviews, 8 hours of interviews, 20 hours of interviews, or one, that is nowhere near enough time compared to spending 50 hours a week together every single week. So what went into the framework and mindset that you had in order to make the leap of faith to join us, particularly being and knowing we are a Pittsburgh company and you're not in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so it was hard. It was very, very hard. I was coming from a company that I'd worked for 4.5 years and basically ground level up, built that company, love the mission, vision of the company. But you hit a certain point, and this happened with me with all jobs that I've had, which is why I've moved careers. I mean, I'm not that old, but I've had 3 leadership positions in my life. And it's because I saw a point where I just couldn't go any further. So when you approached me, you had this big vision and goal, and it was so casual because, we were literally at a bar. And it was you and then Alex from Recruity, and you were just talking to me about what you guys do and what drives you, the culture, the mission. And right away, it stuck out to me. Now, obviously, I still had that little thing in the back of my head, like, okay, if I were to go and leave, I'm leaving behind a lot. I built a lot here. And it took me 2.5 weeks, I think, to say yes. But I literally asked, can I interview everyone on leadership, everyone on the marketing team? Like, I need to know who I'm going to be working with. I'm making this big leap, this big decision. Now, I was used to working remotely. I've been working remotely since 2019 with the companies that I've worked for. So I wasn't too concerned about that. But the different element here was the other remote companies, everyone was remote. Yeah, they might have been in the same area, but they didn't have an office. So here, everyone was in office, which was a little concerning because, I'm not there every day. How is that going to work?
Yeah, how to fit in.
Yeah, how do you fit in? How do you get to know people? And even being here for 3 days, I see how closely everyone works every day because proximity-wise, you are close. You are in one office together. So I had those concerns, but after I talked to everyone on the team, especially, we had a 2-hour call after our initial talk, and then I talked to TJ for 2 hours, and I was like, hey, these guys are just people I can get along with, I vibe with. They are that next level that, you develop in your career. When I went to my last job, that's where I needed to be at that point. I needed to have that little inch up from my job before that. And then here I was like, well, this is where my mindset, my drive, my ambition is going to lie. So what does that look like when I leap over here? Well, I need to know who I'm going to be dealing with. Who's my team? How are they going to work with someone remotely? Because that's huge. It's not just if I can lead a team that's remote, can my team members also work with people remotely? Now, it was helpful that, SteelPoint, it is Pittsburgh-based, but you guys are nationwide brands across all your brands. So it's not like I was the first remote worker to ever work for anything SteelPoint based. So that helped me get a little more confidence. And then just knowing that you believed in me and trusted me so much. TJ believed in me and trusted me so much. I remember when I called you, my husband was actually in Vegas at a music festival. He does one thing a year that he gets to go out of town. And I called you while I was watching All 4 Kids.
I remember that.
I was like, I'm just going to step outside. James, my 6-year-old, can you watch the kids for 5 minutes? So I called Casey and I was like, okay, Like, I'm going to do this. I'm making the leap. I got to have a good transition period. Like, and you're like, whatever you need, like, just, we want you, like, we'll set it up. We'll set up the process. So, I mean, I didn't fully transition for like 2 months.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get to do both, get to learn the company, and then take over that full role as, you know, being your chief marketing officer across these brands.
Well, I think that says a lot too, right? Like, to your point, number one, I'm a firm believer for anybody out there hiring, it's not about the next 2 weeks. I don't understand anyone in the entire world ever hiring somebody saying, well, you got to let me know in a week. Like, this is the biggest decision of their entire life, and it should be. And if you're building something to sustainable, it's the biggest decision in your life, and it's forever. It should be forever, right? And I think too many times, too many people look at it as a job and not a career, not a lifestyle, and not a forever thing. And so for me, I'm a big believer in looking at it as a forever thing, and I preach that to everybody else, right? So it's like, you need to make sure that this is a good forever thing for you. And you need to do whatever it takes to do that. And you did a great job of that.
Yeah.
You know, what I thought was really cool and spoke volumes as far as all that went is, you wanted to give the time and make sure you could fully transition everything out where you're at, because you were an integral part of everything that they were doing.
Yeah.
But what speaks volumes too is you were so amped and ready to go, and you were excited and wanted to get it, that you were almost dual rolling between companies, and because you were talking to us, and you were very open and honest about it. I believe open, honest trust is everything in any relationship ever.
Oh, yeah.
And you were that along the way, which is really cool.
Yeah, I told my other company, I think it was the 4 days after we talked, I was like, hey, I got this offer. You know, I'm thinking about it, but I just want you to know that things might change. So then a week later, or a week and a half later,
well, you had conversations prior to even ever meeting me, right? Around just you wanting 100%, more growth.
100%. I'd had these conversations for 2 years. So I knew in the back of my mind, I needed to move on to something else. It's just nothing had arisen that was worth the move.
And I think even more importantly too, right? Like, this is about our lives. It's not just about a job. And so you were close with the team over there, and you still are. Like, you still are now. I guarantee if they called you today, you'd call them back or answer and help them with something if they needed it.
I've done it over the last few months. If they need anything, you know, I'm on it, because I still care about them, still love them. And that is because every job I go into, this is my forever job. That was something you said when I accepted the job, is like, you're never going to leave this company. And I was like, well, that's exactly what I want. I don't want to leave this company. Yeah.
We talked about it, you know, on a different podcast, but I want to go into something that you mentioned here around, like, literally, I talked to you and sort of made up my mind when my husband was out of town and I had 4 kids and I had my 6-year-old watch the other ones, which clearly means, you know, they're younger.
Oh, yeah.
Give us a little glimpse into how you're able to juggle the demands. And what I mean by the demands is, you know, culturally, we like to work hard here. We push ourselves, and you naturally push yourselves, which is why I think you wanted to come here, right? How have you settled into a job that you're at for 4 years where you're very comfortable and everything you're doing with kids is very different than a brand new job where you're not there. And so you've got to overshow that you're working because you're not next to them, proving that you're working. And so a lot of dynamic goes into this, a lot of dynamic.
Yeah.
How have you been able in your own head to be able to successfully get results, prove your value and your worth, and everything that you're doing on top of continuing to make sure that you're a great mom of 4 young kids at home?
I mean, it is difficult, the balance of family life, business life. I don't think anyone ever has that completely down. I remember TJ right away when I met him was like, work-life integration is what we're about. And that's what I've always been about. I talk about work to my kids. I talk about work to my husband. Like, they know who I work with. You know, they'll ask, like, at my last job, they knew everyone. They would ask how people were doing. And like, now they're just starting to get to know everyone here because, you know, they're listening. I'm at home. They're listening in the back of my meetings. Like, my husband asked, like, how's Logan doing? Because he listened in on my first conversation I ever had with him. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, he's doing good. So like, we're starting to learn that part where, hey, I'm going to talk about work. And it's difficult. I mean, my kids are very, very young. When I started on my last job, I had just had my second. So I only had 2 kids. At that point, I had 2 kids while there. So my life is very different with doubling how many children you're watching. So my husband is huge, huge help. My family is not very far from us either. They are a big help. That is, you need to have some sort of village, some sort of support system. But even with that, there's still a lot of demands that only a mom can do for a child. Even like scheduling. You know, my husband's never going to schedule a doctor's appointment. I still got to do all these things, register for sports, all those things. That's still on my plate. But you just got to work it in. And one of the things that I think I've been very successful since I was a little kid is if I have a task that needs to get done, you just do it. Like, it doesn't matter what you have lined up in the day. I might have 6 hours of calls where I'm talking to team members, talking to vendors, talking to whatever I have to do for that day. but I'm not going to go to bed until that task is done. And I think that had
how do you decide? I mean, I know this because I'm involved. You have more tasks in a day that you'll ever get done. For the rest of your life,
yes.
It's at steel point, right? If you don't, I'm doing something wrong and you're doing something
Yes.
wrong. So how do you decide if it's important enough to get it done that day?
If the deadline is quicker on one task, that's when you get done. So if it's something where if I don't get this done, nothing can move forward. And usually it's something that impacts more than just me.
That makes sense.
There are definitely tasks that, hey, if I don't get it done, I have a few more days because no one is dependent on me finishing this copy. No one is depending on me getting this website out. So it's really off of deadlines, which with marketing, most things are deadlines because we're launching this at this date. We got to get 40 ads by the end of the week. Well, you got to get those 40 ads done by the end of the week. So it's really just prioritizing time of what timeline is most important for the whole company, not just me.
I think that makes sense, right? But what stands out? A couple things that you're doing that makes you, I mean, look, at the end of the day, intelligence is now irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the day, because anybody that isn't as smart as me, no offense, they're just using chat to talk to me, right? I literally get text messages to their chat. I use it. We all use it. So at the end of the day, intelligence is irrelevant. However, there is still, success and not success. I've gone through other people in marketing that I've not had success with.
Yeah.
You're even more, you have 4 kids, right? Or, all of the things, you're remote, you're not here, we're all here. All of the things we just kind of described throughout this, what are kind of a couple of things that allow you to create more success in your life than other people that are vying for the same job that you have?
I think my focus on marketing, not as it's branding, it's making us look pretty as a brand. And beyond that, it's actually generating leads. So I don't care if a video gets 100 views. If it got us 2 leads, well, that was a fucking successful video. That's the focus on. I don't care how big we are as long as we're bringing in the right people. And I think I've been blessed to be in positions where I'm in very niche industries that you do just have that niche that you focus on. And usually it's high ticket. So it's a lot easier to just have that one avatar, those 2 avatars that you really hit hard and having those paths. I also think one thing that sets me apart from other marketers is I am very outgoing. I'm very transactional. I are very relational. We met at a mastermind. My last job, I was at masterminds every month because I was the one bringing in business through partnerships, through affiliates, through communication and just knowing people. So I think just my ear in on, if I have a problem in marketing, I have 10 people I can go ask questions to because I've been to all these events over the last 5 years and I don't have to know all the answers. And I really don't think I know all the answers. Like you said, intelligence doesn't matter anymore. But your network does matter because there are going to be people who very much are specialized in that problem that I have. And I'll just go to ask them and say, hey, how do I fix this? What's the solution? Or you go to Claude or chat and you have them help you. But honestly, the relationships are huge. I've had so many people help me just figure out issues that I would have never figured out myself because of the network that I have.
Do you think you have an ego?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has an ego. I do think I try hard to not be egotistical, but I definitely...
What's that mean to you?
So for me, it's like humble confidence. I'm confident that I can do whatever I set my mind to. I won't even call it an ego because I don't think I'm going to be the best at what I'm doing, but I know that I'm going to figure it out because I've done that my whole life. I'll be put in positions where I probably shouldn't be there, but I've just worked my butt off to make success in that position. I read something, or maybe I was talking to Leandra about this, and she was like, women don't apply for jobs if they don't fit 80% of what the job description is. I remember being 21 years old and applying for a vice president of marketing job, and I was like, screw it. I have at least half of these things that I can do, and I'll figure out the other half on the way.
How do you think you got to that mindset right there, what you just said? Because that's a mindset. That's what that is.
That is a mindset. I think I was born with it. If you ask any of my siblings, I have always been very confident, very bossy, very much I want things to go my way, and I'll do whatever I have to do to make it go my way. And I think that's been good to rein it in as I've gotten older, to have it not be bossiness, but confidence of, I just know I can figure stuff out. And I am by no ways the smartest person in the world. I will never say that because I know there's millions of people that are much smarter than me. But I don't give up.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the bigger question that I have for you, though, right? Sitting here, you're a female playing in a man's world. It's just the facts of reality. It's not a sexist comment. It's just the truth, right? If I go to a mastermind where I met you or other masterminds, the reality of it is it's 80 to 90% male every single time. And so by definition and by default, you're a female playing in a man's world and you're a confident human. Do you evaluate yourself from an egotistical way, but not the reality, but really from a standpoint of, do you evaluate yourself regularly on how you performed in a man's room as a female when trying to get the results you desire from the rooms?
I would say yes, actually. Every mastermind that I go into, I actually set up, like, even the way I'll look, I'll dress. I kind of have like I want to look nice because I want to stick out. And when you're a woman in these rooms, you stick out anyway. But I'm like, well, if I go in there, I want to look professional. I want to make sure people understand I'm here to be taken serious. And I eject myself into conversation. You know, I'm not afraid to talk to these men that maybe other people are, because it's very successful men. And, you know, I always have a little bit of an insight of who they are beforehand. I do a lot of research before I go to a mastermind of who's going to be there. And
that's insightful. I think that's important, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, how do you attack these things? Because the females of the world generally don't. That's why it's 90% male. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Well, and I've worked in careers where usually I'm the only female on the leadership team. And I've gotten very used to working around men, probably just because of that as well. But I do know that I have to be overly prepared when I go into these situations. And I got to make sure that whatever I'm saying comes across how I want it to be said, because things get misconstrued if you're a man talking to a man. But I feel like I do have to show that little bit of extra step up of, hey, I am a woman playing in this world and I'm at that same level as you.
Love that. Let's switch gears here for a minute, right? Let's get into some good stuff here around marketing specifically. And I think I just want to start by asking you, right? It's funny, we work together a lot, and certainly I give opinions around marketing, but I always caveat by saying I'm not a marketer and I never will be. But I've certainly had to learn it pretty well over the last couple of years. Not the action of doing it, but the action of how it works, why we need to do it, how to do it, what's important. And so with that framework in mind, not the framework of me, but just my fascination for marketing and how important it is, where's marketing going? Like marketing, the world. We've got AI, we've got social, you got Gary Vee out there spilling that followers are irrelevant now. Like, you know, it changes and swirls so fast around marketing and the word marketing. But like overall, you know, paint the crystal ball over the next 2 years. What are we doing and how are we going to win in marketing?
Yeah, well, 2 years is a very long stance for marketing.
Sure, whatever you want. I just
even
made
like,
up time,
let's just say next year, till the end of this year,
Sure.
2026.
Look at her being a boss. Tell me what we're going to talk about on my show. It's never perfect.
Well, I never like to predict anything that far out, you know? But in the next 9 months, I mean, marketing is all personal brand based. And I know we've been saying that for like a year now, that you really have to get your personal brand down. No one cares about your company. No one cares about anything. Like when we bring up Stale Point, cool. But if we bring up Casey Quinn, we need to know, okay, he's related to Stale Point because that's the person who you're watching online. We want to know who Casey is. We want to know he has all these companies. Like, what are they? What do they do? And what does he stand for? Because you don't buy into a company, you buy into the person that runs the company. And thankfully for us, I mean, it's a lot of people are involved. So we have TJ doing content. We have me doing content, you know, throughout other brands. With Flooring and Paint, Julia's the Revive face. And it's nice to show that we have a person you can actually connect to it, because personal brands are above and beyond all what's going to sell. And it's just the way of the world of marketing. No one cares about what your company is. They care about what do you stand for? What's the culture? Especially with the newer generations, they care about, does this brand matter to me emotionally, internally? Because I can buy from 12 people, 14 people. Think of our coaching. I mean, yeah, we are, you know, obviously I'm biased, the best coaches you can have for business. But how many coaches are online? I mean, how many ads do I get in a day? At least 10 for different business coaches, just because that's the industry we're in. So what sets us apart? It's the actual people who are running these companies. So having that focus is huge. And I do actually think one big thing in marketing that has been overlooked really since COVID is being in person and actually communicating with people on a relational base, not virtually, but going to events. And people got away from events for so long because you didn't have to do it. But when you go to events and you build those partnerships up, it is just above and beyond a relationship, an easy lead gen funnel that you're not getting when people have to watch 20 of your shorts to even trust that you're like anyone they can deal with, which is why people aren't following, because they're only getting 30 seconds of you. So they got to see you at least 10, 15 times before they decide, oh, I'm going to follow this guy because I trust him. And is it AI? That's the other thing. We don't even know. Is it AI? Is it real? And especially with how good AI is getting, I mean, we could have an AI avatar of you and
Yep.
it'd be pretty hard to decipher.
If you think about why we launched this, that's exactly why we launched this, is because we wanted to make sure that there continued to be authenticity that went out, like real, not AI.
Yeah.
Not planned, like this is us.
Yeah, and there's people I know in the masterminds we're in that they use AI avatars, and I'll see their content, and it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like
I think
like
short term,
them.
a lot of that's going to work. To me, it's just I'm so focused on wanting to build relationships that I
Yes.
think this creates better relationships. There was like 19 things I wanted to follow up with a follow up question on. They all went in my head and out the other because you said something else that I sparked an interest I want to continue to go down. But I do find it interesting around, the concept of our school foundry community that we have and our inner circle that we have that we're building. And I had a conversation with TJ, and it's like, what is our differentiator as far as how we do things if people ask? And it got back to me. I think you nailed it on the head for me, which is at the end of the day, do we really need to be significantly different as far as how we structure it and how we run it and how we price it and the things that we do on a monthly basis? Do what's best. And if someone else is doing what's best, great. But to your point, I think what separates us, and this is what I told TJ, what separates us is how we do things and what we care about and the relationships that we're building and the culture that we're creating. And that's what sets us apart. But I don't say it sets us apart to make us better. I think it sets us apart to make it as who we are. And if you resonate and want to be around us in the community we're building, great. But if you don't resonate with what we're building, the culture and how we live and how we breathe and how we act and how we treat each other and everything we do on a daily basis, no problem. Go chase your happiness.
Yes.
Right? And that's sort of the mentality and framework that I've looked around. This is like the structure is irrelevant at the end of the day. You got to do what makes sense for you in order to create the business and the scale that you want. The differentiator is we don't need to come up with a different, cool, unique way to price it or do a cool call.
Yes.
It's different. No, we need to be our authentic selves, and that needs to resonate or not. And then we just need to give insane amount of value to the people. And if they resonate and you give them crazy amount of value, that's going to create a winning proposition long term. Who cares what anybody else is doing at the end of the day?
Exactly.
And so when you said that, it really resonated around the focus that we have in our foundry and what it is that we're ultimately trying to build. I want to pivot that though, not pivot it, but really think about like pushing that mindset and that idea is what we're a lot of doing. And you focus it on the personal brands. It's because it's like, hey, this is how me, you, and TJ think. We got to push our personal brands really, really heavy. But you have a founder that's sitting here across from you in this thing right now that essentially says, I believe in that. I'm good with that right now. However, I am continuing to be focused on building enterprise value and building every business that I've ever wanted to build. I want to be able to eliminate anybody from it in the business run, meaning the personal brand of Casey, if it was gone, the business still needs to be able to thrive. Otherwise, we're doing something wrong. And then if I make it extremely blunt, I don't want to be famous. I don't care to be famous. I don't like being famous. My family doesn't want me famous. It creates a challenge, and I'm willing to do certain things in order to create a personal brand, but I don't love it because I don't really want to be famous. I do a lot of the things that I personally do and we do because we've got to show people what it is that we have in order to bring them to be a part of it, right? If I want to be blunt, sales, it's sales, right? At the end of the day, it's showing everybody who it is that we are, right? And we've had a lot of iterations, which is why we do this podcast now, is because like, I don't want to be fake.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's get on this podcast and be real and have conversations and let people see into our world. And if they love it, great.
Yeah.
How do you, as the marketing officer that knows you've got to build personal brand and build my personal brand and build your personal brand and TJ's and everything that we're doing, when the founder and the guy that has the ultimate decision-making authority continues to say, great, okay, but we're going to continue to build the business, and that's what matters the most. Like, how do you juggle that? Because the reality is most of my peers want to be famous, and that's where they push and say, I don't care about anything else other than being famous. And quite frankly, they don't build big businesses, but they build big personal brands.
Yeah.
And so how do you juggle the fact of like, I don't care if I get 1,000 views. If I get 100 views, great. If that means we're building the business that we're trying to build, I don't want to be famous. I'd actually rather 100 if that means we're selling.
And that's totally fine because you don't need, like I said, you don't need thousands and thousands and millions of followers and views to make a business that is highly successful. One thing that does help is having ads that function online because the ads can be ran through the brand or ran through the business pages, and it's not just you as a brand. The way to really position it is you don't like to sell. I know you don't like to sell. You don't like to have to be in that seat. We have other people that do that at the company. You don't have to do that. So just you talking about your experience, about what you do in a day, sells itself and what we are building, because like I said, people aren't buying into the business. They're buying into you. Once they buy into you, they click on all your links and they see, okay, this is what this guy does. And maybe they need accounting services. They go and they click on Accruity and they say, okay, well, let's look at this. I trust him, so I'm going to trust this business. So it's almost like a bridge psychologically for them that if they like the person who started these businesses, runs these businesses, they don't have to talk to you. They don't have to think of you as a celebrity, but it's that trust factor that you build because there is a person involved. And I would love for you to not have to be advertising any brands ever and you just talk, basically like you're a speaker, but for social media, not on stage.
We're close to that on all of it, right?
We are very close.
I'm not directly yelling at the camera all day. I know we need to go build some ads. We're certainly trying to get organic to be more ads and having those conversations.
And ads are big because that's how, even if people see us organically, like I said, they don't follow, you have to retarget them and you have to get them to follow you, buy things from you through ads. So that is a big branch that we have to work on in the next 9 months. And I've seen more businesses that I would not expect to run ads because they know that's the only way you're actually getting targeted and directly in front of people.
Yeah.
So the more ads we can run, the better, obviously, there too, to get you out of having to sell. Because truthfully, I don't want you to sell in anything that you do. I want you to just talk.
Last question for you, then I'll let you spin around and ask me a question here before we wrap up. How do you think about juggling the difference between, what we do, which is, really two things. Three things. One, we raise capital in order to invest in our operating companies that we, own, run, and manage. Predominantly the capital is going to lending.
Yeah.
And then, but then we have our businesses such as a CPA firm, right? Such as our lending business, such as our, contracting, flooring, and paint business. And then obviously we have Steel Point, and then we're really pushing hard to build the school foundry community that we have here at Steel Point, right? Our Steel Point Foundry and our inner circle, and we're pushing that hard. How do you juggle the directive or the really the messaging around, hey, we're building the foundry and the community and the inner circle, which is our coaching program, and then we have these operating companies that have a service that we're offering. And then also we're raising capital, which is very, very different kind of marketing strategies, target audiences, and everything that we're doing. How do you think about the juggling that? But more importantly, my question is, how do you think about how to create synergies among them?
Yeah, so juggling is not that difficult because typically there's a directive either from you, TJ, or myself where it's like, okay, this business needs the help right now. And usually it can be day to day. This business needs me more. This business needs me more. We also have a great marketing team that knows that they're going to be pulled in the different directions of wherever we need that energy spent. But making them all cohesively work together, it goes off of everything's based off our culture and our mission. So making sure that that is huge across all brands and whoever we're bringing in follows that culture and mission as a customer. I always believe in like attracts like in marketing. So if you have a really good branding of your messages, you're going to attract the right people. And if we're attracting the right people at Still Point Capital as investors, most likely those people are going to have a network that can bring us in more customers for Accruity, for Revive. Same with local lending first. It's going to be the same deal that those customers are going to naturally flow because they liked us. They liked our message. So it's all about strong branding that leads to not just prettiness and people thinking you're cool, but actual leads and people who trust us and want to keep buying again and again and again. Because your best customers aren't all the new ones you bring in. It's the ones that buy for you for 10 years.
Love that. Yeah. I think that's the biggest challenge you're going to face over the next 12 months is the synergistic side of all of the marketing that we're doing.
100% agree.
And creating cohesiveness in the brand and brand awareness and people understanding very quickly what we do, how we do it, what that looks like to the market. So I'm
and
excited.
That's not going to change as we bring on businesses because it's going to always be how do we work them all in.
Yeah, and I'm excited for all of that. Before we wrap up, I like to kind of give my guest, right, when I have guests here, obviously most of us are internal, maybe a question you want to ask me, maybe that you want the answer to, or you feel it's really important that the audience, that I could add value to the audience. So what is a question maybe that you want to ask me?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one. So you said, you've had other marketers and everything get brought on. And this is something that I think I brought up in our last episode, but what stood out for me to be your next marketing person? This girl from Iowa that you wouldn't even have in office, like why?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, I'm always attracted to people that are attracted to desiring and wanting success and to win at whatever that is, right? So competitive people that want to win, right? Like that would be number one for me. And, I would say with you specifically, even before that, it was my first ever introduction to you, you were in front doing a hot seat at a mastermind. And I quickly I challenged the heck out of you and what you were doing with, I think, really good points. And you took the criticism and the feedback really well, asked questions, and we had a really good dynamic, which ended with, I think, which was probably good takeaways for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then it quickly came that I found out that as a part of all of that, like, I assumed that you were owner and running the company, I'm pretty sure, right? And I come to find out that wasn't the case at all. And then I don't know exactly what happened, but I think in conversations that we were having at the bar and other things, you know, I could really see the desire to want to be and push yourself to be the greatest human that you could ever be in life in your own terms and own world, which meant to me, you know, you're chasing happiness in the workplace and desiring and wanting to win. And I was attracted to that as far as how I think about the people that I want in this organization.
Yeah.
So when those conversations were happening, of course, I made the joke the other day, pretty much everyone I ever talk to anymore, I'm always evaluating if they could come work inside of our organization or not, right? And I think subconsciously at that moment I was doing that. And so then I've, of course, threw out the subtle, well, hey, if they don't ever work out where you were, because I think even when you were up there, I think a lot of your frustrations when you guys were presenting and the challenges that you were having was you couldn't grow.
Yes.
And the reasons why you couldn't grow, you were frustrated with it because you felt like it was completely out of your control.
Yes.
Why you couldn't grow. And I believe in growth. And if you wanted growth, I believe in growth. You're frustrated because you're not growing and you can't control it.
Yeah.
That's where conversations went. And so I was like, look, I might as well throw out a subtle hint of like, look, if you're unhappy and you want growth, I can promise you I can provide you all the growth in the entire world and overwhelm you with growth if that's what you want. Yeah. Right. And so that was the subtle comment that ultimately led to, you know, this and where we're at actually today. And certainly, right, it was just then a lot of getting to know you after that to determine if it was going to be the right fit as far as, do we have the same core values? Can you fit inside of our culture? Can I provide you a vision for you personally that can fit inside of my vision, inside of the bigger thing that we're building? And can I help you reach your goals?
Yeah.
And once I realized I could do those different things, then for me, it went to then, okay, great. Now can she see that inside of what she's doing and what she wants and what she desires, if I can provide those things? And can I convince her that she can see that? Yeah. And I believe in chasing happiness more than anything in the entire world. And I tell everybody that. I tell my own team that. Matter of fact, we're in a town hall where I said, if you're not happy here, I want to get you happy.
Yeah.
And everybody is doing great work. So it would be a huge loss if anybody ever left this company right now. It would really suck.
Yeah.
However, if they're not happy, what is best for everybody, including us, if they left, would be them finding happiness. And so that's what I believe in. And so it's my job and why I'm put on this earth, right? I'm not being one of those guys, this is why I was put on earth. That's not what I meant. But if you have an opportunity to be able to help people live and chase their dreams, you owe it to them and you owe it to the world and you owe it to society to do that for them.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've realized that we had that great opportunity to be able to provide you in order to go create happiness for yourself and chase what you want in life, which is happiness, which is to win and create success for your family and create a legacy that you're after so that, you know what I mean? You can live a fulfilled life, because at the end of the day, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And so if we could help people do that, that's what we want to do. And it just turned out that so far, I believe I'm succeeding at that, but we both felt that that was the case. And so let's go do it.
Yeah. In a very short amount of time, I feel that.
Yeah. And that's
deeply.
That's what I would say is why, you know, from the root cause of the question, why I chased it, why I chased you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate you being in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Appreciate you having on the Never Perfect podcast. I'm sure Jake appreciates you, probably wants to rip your head off sometimes.
No.
Just a couple of times I've sensed the frustration. Just a couple of times.
I'm sure he wants to rip my head off every once in a while.
We always figure it out, and we always end up in a better place.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Until next time, appreciate you. This episode will be out soon. Let's go.